Christina Marassi, and I have a question for you. What are you organized around? Now let me explain where the question comes from. I was working with a client recently who had spent the last couple of years of really building her business and had gotten to a place of success, and she was realizing it was time to focus a bit more on domestic life and broadening her message so that it was business but also more of a well-rounded life. And she was finding that it was a little hard. She was wanting to shift. Have you ever had that experience where you're doing one thing in your life and you want to transition into something else, but it's like you can't quite get over there? Well, there's actually some energy principles that are going on here that, are going on in the unseen realms that are kind of fascinating to learn about. So let me share them. It's called an organizing principle. I learned this when I was learning the healing art called polarity therapy. That's all about balancing energy and really working with the universal laws of how energy works. So at its core, basically, energy in its natural state is very disorganized. So hands are energy molecules. It wants to organize around something, but it has nothing strong to organize around unless something comes in that is strong and steady and centered and anchored. And if that happens, then the energy is like, oh, hang on, I can come in now and begin to organize around the strong center. It's almost like coming into orbit, right? So we call this the organizing principle. So basically, we've set organizing principles all over the place in our life. This could be a goal, this could be an intention, and sometimes we're even doing it unconsciously. After I worked with my client, I asked myself the question of, what am I organized around? And I realized it was my own healing process and had been that way for about 10 years. And it was like, okay, I'm not far ready with the healing process. I promise you, I've done the work. And I was attempting to move away from that way of life and to really build my business. But unconsciously, I had still staked that and hadn't, I call this a staking using the organizing principle. I hadn't kind of pulled up that stake of my own healing process and brought it over here to stake it around, okay, business building. It's time to get my message out into the world. I've done my inner work. Let's move outward, people. So that's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. So back to my client, we created this whole beautiful ritual of looking at how she created her business and almost like closing up that chapter of her life of being organized around that, pulling up the stake, right? And really in a very honoring way. And then fleshing out what was she stepping into, the dreaming process, visioning, really looking into that, and then staking that. And so now you can feel that, right? Like all my energy molecules, which were streaming one way, are now centered over here. And I'm setting myself up for success. So this is why I want to talk to you, because these energy principles that may seem like they're not so important in the day-to-day realm of your business, they are. It's just something that we need to bring our awareness to. So it's a question I have for you. What are you organized around? See if there's some unconscious ones, and then get very conscious about it. And I think it's really fun to stake. I call it like staking. And I think it's great to really bring things into our body. We use all our mind and a lot of our mentality, shall I say, creating our businesses, but we've got bodies too. It's really about creating a well-rounded woman entrepreneur. So that's what I wanted to share this week, all about organizing principles. Thanks for coming along, and there'll be plenty more next week. This is Christina Marassi inviting you into your flow. Take care.